As you know, this is a very unique cup.
Oh yeah, cool.
When you drink it, you have to be careful it doesn't stab you in the eyes.
Oh yeah, what the hell?
Guys, watch from the side. Ready?
I swear.
What the hell? Why would...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Soul Time Podcast.
Is Paul joining us today or no?
Oh no, he sent his apologies
Oh, okay.
for today.
Maybe it was the creative arts element that scared him off.
Oh, yeah,
Jokes.
by the way, I think did anyone prepare?
Yes.
Mark, good. Mark, I called Tahada 15 minutes before just to make sure that she was going to come online on time. She's like, "Did you guys do the creative arts thing?" I'm like, "Damn it, I forgot." And they're like, "Damn it, even I bet Mark won't forget." But anyway, I'd love to hear or see or whatever you're doing.
Take us away, Mark.
Okay then. Well, I got two options today. Two options. Or we can hear them both if you want. Since there's not... Did anyone else submit?
Yeah, exactly. I think let's do it. Both of
I have
them.
an impromptu skit.
Impromptu skit. Okay.
I'm
Well,
just kidding.
well, anyway, so the first one is a video. And the second one, I tried to make a song. So, which one do you want to hear first?
The song.
Song? Okay, then. All right, cool. I guess I have to set it up then. I'll play it live.
Ooh,
Feel free to criticize.
feel free to criticize. I don't like it already.
Okay, that's cool. So I won't be able to hear it, so I can hear my own self. So this song is dedicated to the power of words. All right. Time slows, life fades, but your words soar the skies. Trees fall, seas break, but your words sing aloud. Your words, your song, they warm my soul. Let me paint with your words to make a beautiful world. Happiness is all you'll bring. Birds and flowers will sing. Together we can be free. So take my hand and sing with me. The world is the saddest of all. But your word fills the world with all life. Can you hear it? Can you see it? Can you feel it that you're my world? Can you hear it? Can you see it? Can you feel it that I love you? Yeah, that's about it.
My God, Mark,
What? I don't know. It sounded very good.
that was fantastic. Honestly,
Is it?
Excellent work.
dude.
That was really nice.
Oh no, my voice is alright. I missed it.
Mark, honestly, the whole thing was great. Like, I mean, if you want us to critique I'm talking looking at the tune, the lyrics. You're just so confident. It's
Oh.
great.
Thanks.
There's one thing I have to critique. It's your background's a bit messy.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us the lyrics?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, pop it up in the group. It'll be nice to see the lyrics as well because obviously, hearing it once, you only pick up so much.
Thank you for sharing that. That was so nice.
Mark, that was really good. I can't believe we all slacked up and didn't do anything. And you're like, you prepared 2 things. What's the second one? The video.
Yeah, the second one's video. So I guess
see.
I could share my screen maybe
Yeah.
or something. Anyway, this is called does that work or no?
That's better like that.
Alright, I don't know if you can hear the volume, but anyway, this is called Conspiracy Theory Mark Interrogates 2 Government Officials. Now it's part of the now before you could critique it, it's part of the power of words, which I'll now demonstrate, I guess. So feel free to criticize and everything. Here now.
Because you had that issue last time.
You didn't see me, but now I'm here. Hello. My name is Conspiracy Theory Mark here. Now you're probably wondering why. What I'm doing out of my basement. Getting all the government raised. So, what am I doing here today? And what are these 2 people out here? What are they? Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're the goddamn government. Piece of crap. Always the government, always conspiracy and taking all the money. So why would the government be here with me, Conspiracy Theory Mark? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's because they volunteered themselves. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally didn't capture them. What do you think I'm gonna ask the government today? Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Well, there's been talk on the streets that the government has been talking about this thing called the power words. Yes, the power words. Did you know that the power words rhymes with the government? And you know what the government means? The government is bad. The goddamn bad means it's bad. And can you imagine that these goddamn people, are always talking about the powers. They're trying to get in your mind. So we're gonna ask them today. Yes, that's right. We're gonna ask them. What is the power of words? Which one should we pick first? The male government looks pretty interesting. Let's go ask him. Gotta get my mic. So, hello. My name is Conspiracy Theory Mark. So today I'm going to ask you a few questions. Yes, that's right. I can smell the government all over you. That's right. Alright, so the first question, and the only question. What is the power words? Why do you keep asking these goddamn questions?
The power of the word depends on the message you want to communicate. If the message makes sense and is acceptable to people, then the message will get through. If it is a lot of garbage, people won't believe you.
So is that all you have to say, government agent number 1 to the audience? Is that all you have to say?
Yes, it also depends on the tone, the way you say it, and the contents of it. If the contents are not right and not proven, then it is not worthwhile following the message.
Yeah, that's very insightful for a government agent. Yeah, alright. What's going on? Must be the goddamn shield's turning off. I must turn on the shield. Shield's turning off. See, the reason why I left the cave is because I put a shield up. So I'm gonna have to activate the ritual again. Shields open. I almost died of a heart attack. The government rays are always everywhere. You better watch out for them. You don't want to die from cancer or something, or the COVID-19. I think I was passed out there. I think we can ask the second government agent number 2. Let's go. Hello, government agent number 2. My name is Conspiracy Theory Mark. Yes, that's right. I can just smell the government all over you. God, piece of crap. Alright, so, like the other government agent number 1, I'm gonna ask you a question. A very interesting question. What is the meaning of the power words to you?
I just don't know. But I know what power means. Power means that how you control the people. That's all. But I don't know power words.
So you're saying that the people is like a metaphor for the words. You're saying that if you can control, yeah?
Yeah, they got power to control the people what in the society.
Okay,
I understood, but I don't know.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all you have to say, government agent number 2? Is that all you have to say for the audience? For the audience here.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Join you next time for another conspiracy theory.
That's about it.
Can't help but laugh, Mark. Oh my god. I'm just thinking, at the beginning I'm watching and I'm like, are his parents actually sitting in the same room? Like, or did he like put them there and like do the whole like editing, and then they were there, and how they held themselves for that long, I really don't.
I was expecting the green suit to be some sort of, you're going to turn it into some sort of magic there.
Oh.
Yeah, the green suit. The green suit's like special effects.
That's very interesting. So did you choose to be like a conspiracy theory because you like, what can you talk about like what your thinking behind that video was, just to share it as well on top of that?
Okay, yeah, sure. So pretty much I filmed that in a day. So that was
You what, sorry?
I filmed, edited out, and made that in a day.
Yeah, you did a very good job. It was really good.
I don't know.
It was entertaining as well, but it's nice to hear your thoughts as well, obviously.
Yeah, so I thought I was actually thinking at the start of when Tahara said about doing a creative arts video, I said, oh, maybe I can make a video. And then so I made a video, and then I thought, oh, well, everyone's seen me made a video, so anyway, so I wrote a song. Anyway, with the video, to my thoughts on that, I said, well, I haven't heard what my parents thought of what the power of words were, so I wanted to ask them, and so I didn't expect that, so they were surprised too. I guess when my dad just paused for a bit, he had to. I gave him like in the edit, I gave him about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to think or something, a few minutes. So, but anyway, that was my, I guess, thing. And the conspiracy theory, I was thinking either conspiracy theory Mark or Dr. Detective Mark. So I was just thinking of different ways on who's going to play that role, I guess, or the character. Or I was thinking of creating a new character, but then I thought, I think conspiracy theory Mark would do the job. So that's
Have you played conspiracy theory Mark before?
yes.
Okay. Because it ties in well with the theme. Like, you know, when you think about words or like things that people do, depending on how you say it, or like, you know, people can just be thinking, oh, this is a conspiracy theory, or this is like, I just thought maybe it had to tie in with the theme as well. Oh, that's cool. And then why did you choose them to be the government?
Because I guess in conspiracy theory Mark's videos, he's always fighting against the government and the government, and also conspiracy theorists. They always blame the government. I always feel,
Yes.
or they say, oh, they're always trying to. They put the tinfoil hats. Oh, they're trying to get into my mind and take over everything. Oh no, I always thought that's what conspiracy theorists. So it's also a bit of a making fun of them. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I thought the conspiracy theory thing was to do with the topic. I mean, I overanalyze things. That's why I'm like going deep into it. But then obviously now that if I know that you've had that character before, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Oh my God, you're so
thanks.
funny, Mark. Oh my God.
If I was your creative arts teacher, I'd give you a HD for that.
Oh, sweet.
That was so awesome. Well done. Honestly, next time I suggest something, I'll make sure I do it.
Okay, guys, let's start tonight.
Let's do it.
All right. So, what's tonight's topic?
Anything controversial now. Cool.
The role of educators.
Very nice.
Before we go on to tonight's topic, I was trying really hard, and last week there was a suggestion to like think about how we're going to implement what we did last week, like in terms of the power of words, and then how we're going to try and practice it in our life. And I was trying to be very conscious. There were times where Shah was saying, you just said the word just again, you know, trying to lessen it. Or even when I was talking to Mona about things, I was trying really hard to not use words that were even slightly too emotive, whether it was negative or positive. Like I was trying to remain very true about what I'm trying to describe, rather than say, oh my God, that's amazing. Or, you know, there was sometimes where Shahal would say, yeah, that was so creative, or that was trying to actually describe the situation rather than being too positive or too negative, which can kind of impart your perspective on the situation. So I was trying really hard to reflect, because it is very interesting that words have such an effect. And it actually relates to tonight's topic too. So like the role of educators and the importance of them in our society. Their words have such an impact on how we can actually, even how we define ourselves. It was very interesting. So I was going around and putting up signs around the neighborhood today. Sophie's been putting together some really cool like little trivia things. Like last week was songs, fill in the gap songs. This week it's like a world trivia thing. And my mum was looking at it going, oh my God, Sophie's going to be one of those teachers that you always go, oh, I remember that teacher, you know, like those teachers that everyone remembers because she has such a positive impact. Like, you know, there's many of them, not many, but there's a handful of them. But my mum was saying that Sophie's going to be one of those. And yeah, you can have such an impact on people by being an educator that they'll always remember that experience that they had with you. But yeah, mum was looking at it, Sophie, going, oh my God, it's so good. She even did, I'll show you guys, she even did this. So it's called the Happy Hunt, and I'll just try and hold it up to the screen. It'll focus in a second. And it's like, hi friends, thank you so much for joining in for this week's Happy Hunt. We hope you enjoyed learning about fun facts about the world or whatever. And then she's written, kindness can make the world a better place. Like, it's so nice. It's just so positive to put something like that up. But anyway, just on the topic, I'll just quickly share and then I'll just listen to everyone else. But it's funny because I grew up, I mean, as a Baha'i, we always grew up knowing and learning that women, like mothers, are the first educators of children. Like that's a quote by Abdu'l-Baha, which is very interesting. That if you think about like when it says mothers are the first educators of children, and then in the writings it says if you don't have enough money to send both kids to school, send the girl first rather than the boy, because she's going to be the mother at home with the kids, so she can impart her knowledge and just like growing up knowing that, and now being in the role and being at home and stuff. And not necessarily, you don't have to be a stay-at-home mum, but really this concept of just growing up with that, just looking at not necessarily the teacher at the school, but the mother being an educator, and such an important educator in our society, because they teach kids so much, and that's just the foundation. But I just wanted to share that. Yeah, for any either further thoughts or what do you call it, comments or
My dad's interpretation of that quote was always that the mother needs to be educated first because, like, for example, she's like the first provider as well. Like, for example, just that you find out that like breastfeeding is what's healthiest for the baby, like, so you can do things like that. That's also why it's more important for the woman to be educated, like, and nutrition and like feeding yourself properly so that you can feed your baby and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
That's a very good point. And just the concept of like even being able to problem solve as a mother, like looking at your child and and even being in that learning mode of learning new things, because there's constantly new things coming out, trying to decipher what's good and what's bad, what's true and what isn't. So you have to have some kind of level of education to be able to even have the capacity to do that. Interesting.
Yeah, like sick and stuff too.
What to do.
And even emotional needs, right? Like in a lot of cultures, like a lot of women aren't educated in particular cultures, and they just don't have any confidence and of how to even, when a child cries, to even just talk with them, reason with them. They're like, oh, whatever, it's crying, no education, so no understanding of what to do.
I might share my quote. So Tay and I were thinking a week or so ago, we were just reflecting about what does the current situation look like for teachers and for students and for life in general. And, I probably disagreed with Tay, but now I see the wisdom in what she said.
I have no idea what conversation you're talking about.
About how kids should also, are we doing schooling wrong and schooling hours wrong or those things? Because we typically go, schooling is, with the traditional sense, you go to school from 9 till 3, you do all your teaching there, you come home and then you go and play with your friends, or you watch TV, or I don't know, you just hang out with your family. So you don't do any other form of teaching, and we leave it all up to school.
Yeah, so the context was that we were talking about how with this coronavirus that's happened, how it actually has changed the way that we're doing schooling. And then I was saying to Shah, well, actually, it's also showing that our system is not perfect, because if kids are still learning and not going to school, they're still learning stuff, and they're not even spending 9 to 3 at their desks and stuff like that. They're just doing like an hour a day and doing craft and going outside and playing, and like, which is a lot of people that do homeschooling, that's really what the structure looks like. And I was saying, like, actually maybe our system isn't great. Like, Shahab, maybe it's time that we look at our system and say, actually maybe 10 kids in a classroom is right. Maybe actually kids just go for half a day and then go home and the afternoon to be creative and play with friends.
So this is a quote that Tay made about 100 years ago by Abdu'l-Baha Tay.
Yeah, actually, I would like to hear what Abdu'l-Baha said.
He must study every day from morning till noon, so that he may learn how to read and write. From noon till about sunset, he should acquire a craft. The children must both learn to read and acquire an art or skill. It's very interesting how our schooling system is very directed towards, mathematics and English and science and, I don't know, HSIE, whatever that kind of, or whatever it's called now. So it's all that, and then whatever you do, it's like at home, it's just like watch TV.
You don't have
and it's
energy by the time you get back from school at 3 to do anything. That's
so it's saying
fine.
that, afternoon you should be looking at developing a skill that's going to be useful. And the arts and crafts, acquire an art or a skill, because we don't learn skills at school really. Like the whole funny thing is, obviously it's a bit of a just a joke about it. I learned Pythagoras' theorem, and it's so useful now that I'm doing my taxes that I can, know the Pythagoras theorem, whatever. It's not practical. Obviously, there's a reason why we learn the theorem, but in terms of, we don't actually learn skills. And I just wonder what does that then mean in terms of educators, and what are we instilling into them to be able to empower our children to acquire these really noble and important skills they need to learn.
I think I've shared a few times on the topic, but in the field of neuroscience, they have now basically established that our school system is intellectual malnutrition, because as human beings, we're not meant to be sitting down all day long. In France, it's from 8:30 till 4:30 at least, the school.
Oh, primary school.
Yeah, primary school, even
That's a very long day.
as well. I don't know.
5-year-olds.
Yeah, like from 6 years old, you're in school. Nightmare.
That's good for the parents. The parents are enjoying it.
It is, but I think originally this was made, our school system, which is very generic, was made for like the time after war, so that everyone gets a chance, so everyone is like being taught the same thing, which is basically considering that every child is like the same.
Mm.
We are all different. We all have like different set of skills, different brains, different capacities, different energy levels, different everything. And yeah, like basically, as Abdul Baha said in the quote that you guys shared, like it should be more something like this. Like only in the morning you actually study stuff, like learn how to read, and then we should apply it into useful things, so skills, like to actually be able to transform it into something useful. Because like most of the things we learn, we might find it useful later on in our lives at some point, but it's not really, like it's not being really useful in general.
Especially high school. High school is so difficult in that sense, because it's all like primary school. I can see a little bit more like creativity and stuff, but in high school, if it's not the route that you take, there's no encouragement. Like Mark you didn't start learning piano till after you finished high school, right? No, you started.
I started about when I was, or before high school.
Oh wow, because I was going to say you played really well for 2 years.
Oh.
But let's say like in high school, if you didn't really follow that, then there's no room for creativity. It's all like just going in, like reading textbooks and just applying theories that aren't even practical, and the system itself doesn't lend to.
Yeah, like all the creative arts is an extracurricular. It's like seen as an extracurricular activity. So like,
yes,
and it's mostly for the elite too, right? Not all for the privileged, not the elite necessarily, but like middle to upper class, because lower socioeconomic, people can't afford extracurricular activities. They can't afford dance classes, music lessons, like, so it's not accessible to everyone, which means that you have a population of children, of students who are potentially are being deprived of their potential and of their, capacity to develop a particular skill, just simply because it's not integrated into education, and it's not valued as being part of education as well. And it's interesting because like they talk about like differentiation. at the moment we learn about it at uni. And so like differentiation is like being able to cater to the individual needs of students. But if you're one teacher and you have upwards of 30 kids in a classroom, like how do you make 30 different adjustments? So in that way, I'm looking at the system in general going like it's failing educators and it's failing students because, you know, on their own, one teacher, it's very hard to create a learning environment that's conducive to upwards of 30 students in a way that all of them can thrive. Yeah, so I think definitely there needs to be a whole system shift.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. I also, when I tried going to a music class in year 11 and 12, as I tried to do music, and I thought that maybe they were teaching new things, and no, they don't. They all they really do is, I guess it's pretty much music class is pretty much English but with music. So it wasn't really my cup of tea. However, there was also some aspects of music. I guess I got to join a band, but also if you couldn't join the music class if you didn't have any skill at all. So if you didn't have a music skill, so what if you wanted to learn the saxophone or something, they don't teach you that. You just have to already know that. And I also feel that when I did, because I believe there was music class in kindergarten or whenever, the primary school years and even the high school years, I believe that they also didn't really teach you how to play. Well, when I was there, all I did was hit the xylophone, and that's all I did, and play. I guess play with a beat, but not really play a specific instrument. And of course, you can't teach 30 students to a different instrument, and obviously that teacher has to be known for all the instruments, has to be proficient in that. So, but I think to combat that, maybe they can ask I don't know, could get a bit of funding that, because there's a conservatorium where you can learn to play an instrument, and perhaps the school can put some funds into creative arts and I guess pay, say for example, 10 lessons for the violin. Say if the kid wanted to do the violin, and then if he and then he plays the violin for 10 lessons, and then if apparently he doesn't seem to like it, or he can just stop, but if he after 10 lessons he seems to like it and he's playing, he's actually learning something, then it's worth to pay for those things. And of course there are people who are in low income and might not have the money for that, but perhaps a money support or something like that to get something rolling, because it's good to have well, for me, I was lucky to have a music teacher who I remembered paying about, I think it was about $15 just for a half an hour lesson. So it was really cheap. It's not bank breaking. And at the conservatorium, you pay about $35. So that's pretty good. So really, I was just lucky. But for some others who may be really good violinists or pianists, that they're just lost because they just never got the chance.
But before, I think Jeremy, did you want to say something too? Or was it before? No.
I was just on Sophie's point about the low socioeconomic or underprivileged, maybe, that don't have access to music and the arts and stuff. I just thought that's a really good point, but also because the arts allow these kids like an opportunity to express themselves. It's important for emotional development. It's important for expressing themselves. For a lot of kids that are poor, or underprivileged, most socioeconomic families, they are experiencing a lot of hardship. They might experience a lot of trauma and stuff. So when they don't have these sort of outlets that some other kids might to explore their emotions, explore what they're dealing with through the arts, then I guess they might be more inclined to turn to drugs and stuff to self-medicate. So I think it's a pretty good point what Sophie made with equal access to the arts.
But also I think equally, it's also
looks
crafts.
like Tebow's smoking. Look.
Oh yeah.
He's got like an incense burning or something. What is that?
Over there.
Hey.
What is
Guys,
that?
I'm having a lot of allergy. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. I have a lot of allergies because it's springtime now in France, and the pollen, as soon as I step outside, it's the sneezing festival. And
Sneezing festival.
Allergic to coronavirus?
You should be staying indoors anyway, apparently. God, France is up to almost 22,000, dude.
Anyway, and I found that this sage apparently good for breathing for people that have like a bit of asthma and stuff like this. Like apparently it helps when you burn it. And I find that when I put some like this, it clears my nose a bit. Like it stops from being itchy, like the allergic reaction from pollen.
It looked like you were holding a cigarette in the corner.
Yeah, whose turn was it to tell you something?
Charles about to say something.
I was just going to say, I think just as equally as important as the arts is crafts. So I don't think crafts are really taught at schools at all.
Hardly, no.
And I guess what does the word craft mean? I mean, crafts can be arts and crafts.
There's so many crafts, like knitting and crocheting and making things, sewing.
Yeah, so I was thinking more practical crafts.
Practical woodwork and stuff as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, all these subjects, from what I remember at school, the attitude was you had to be well-behaved in maths, English and science. And then when you hit like music and woodwork, that was like the time to muck up and talk to your friends and just lay back and chill and bludge. It's an attitude that I had, so it's something that I needed to obviously work on, but I wasn't mature enough at school. But I guess, is it like, just going back to the topic of today of the role of educators, where is it that this role, if I had maybe, again, I'm not blaming anyone, again, it comes down to my own shortcomings and immaturity at times of school, but how do we, as for the future generation, ensure that we instilling into them the importance of these things when they're at school? Like for me, my parents like, well, you just got to do math, science and English to do well at school, because all the other ones, they don't have any bearing on you going to the following years and eventually going to university. So I mean,
it's changing now because of technology. So a lot of people are offering like free Zoom things. Now there's so much, like YouTube wasn't even really around when we were going through school. Wasn't actually. It came out what year?
I remember when I was in my undergrad.
I think 2005.
Yeah.
Okay, so YouTube has been groundbreaking. Like people can actually access like things on YouTube and learn skills from YouTube. Or online, they can learn instruments at like a very low cost. And it's just very interesting because now with the coronavirus, it's actually showing that we don't actually have to physically all be at school all the time for long hours to actually progress. Like I can see my child is progressing without having to be at school. I mean, it is hard because she can't interact with her friends. I think that's also one other thing. I just think, I said to Shahab, I feel like in the near future, the way the system is going to change, or the way that the role of the educator, that's why I think we all should see ourselves as educators, not necessarily when you're going to school and as a teacher and teaching a particular subject or a class, because in the near future, what might happen is that the kids might go to school in the morning and then in the afternoon, maybe in the community or the neighborhood, people offer to teach skills, arts, crafts, different trades, you know, like just down the road, and you could be called to do that as an individual. Like you could be the one to do that, and it's just very interesting. Like I feel like it's going to be more in like little community neighborhood hubs, and like, for example, even as like a science or math teacher or English teacher, you might actually apply that to a trade or a skill or a craft or an art or something by doing it in a like more applicable way, like doing a science experiment or a mathematics thing. Like, it's so easy to do maths out on the street with the kids. And just by doing, like, honestly, you could just say, okay, how many human bodies do you think we could fit on this street? And they have to calculate in times, and you could just do so many creative things. So I'm just thinking like how it's going to change in the future. And then also they could spend their time online, on Zoom, on YouTube and stuff, accessing free resources. Like, it's just changing. That's why we all have to see ourselves as a role as an educator in our community, and how we're helping the next generation move forward, because we could be called on that role, I feel.
Yeah, when I see what Mark can do with technology, and it's kind of, it reminds me a lot of what you guys are doing with the JY group. It's sort of like citizens, just ordinary citizens, are able to use technology to create really amazing things and just teach everyone. I reckon it'd be really kind of cool if Mark would sort of tag along with the JY group somehow and make it like sort of loud and colourful, and just to just to engage them on a different level. I think the JY kids would really like what Mark can do, what Mark has to offer.
You totally have to have like a media session or something for them, Tay.
Actually, that's a really good point. And actually, we're starting a new JY group. There's going to be 4 boys and a girl. And I just think they would love Mark. Like, we could even do, like, that we haven't started with the second JY, but Mark and everyone else, we've started talking with the junior youth about different topics. It's like a mini soul time, actually, because I find it very hard to find adults in our society that want to talk about, these kind of themes. But these girls that are 14, they could talk about this stuff all day. Like, if we actually brought up the role of educators in the education system, they would have so much to contribute. And it'd be really cool to make videos and stuff like that. We could actually definitely think of a way to engage with Mark with that, because, yeah, that is the way forward. And they love that. Media and technology is their bread and butter.
Yeah, that's how they.
It's changed so much. It's not newspaper articles and all this stuff. It's like they've actually just started an Instagram account, and we've got a website as well. But I think that, because they really want to do videos they want to put it up on their blog, like their website. So I think it'd be really cool to do videos and stuff as well. And even with the new JY, I reckon they would be really good to engage with media, technology and stuff as well. Like, they would love to dress up like what Mark did with that green thing.
They would love that.
They would. And that's the thing, like, it's really hard to find adults in our society that would be happy to engage in these kind of conversations. But every single person between the ages of 12 and 15, they're so obsessed with talking and doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's honestly a soul time every time we talk with them. Yeah. Yeah, cool. That's good to. I'll include you, Mark. We'll have a chat.
Okay.
I have I took some notes down, and I would like to share. So I think I was writing down Shahab's question about the role of educators. First of all, I was trying to think at the beginning of the meeting. So who are the educators? And so the first one in my first reflection was, it's our parents. Then at school, and then anyone who actually inspires us in any field that we are interested in. And this is also like a concept that I came to realize in religion, in a way, is that, so for example, when we pray, let's say we pray to God to give us some answers, and I don't know if it's possible, but I don't think that in most cases, God will actually speak to you and answer. But he or she, might answer through other people, through other human beings. And if we are like judging people, like, oh, because he's not a believer or whatever, like I'm not gonna listen to him, but anyone could have the answer. Even a child, sorry, could have the answer to what you're trying to, the answer you're trying to find. A child could have the answer for you that you're looking for. Anyway, so my point was that if we let our ego aside, anyone can become an educator, and we can become educators, and we all are at the same time students and educators. Anyways, and then Shahab's question was, and then my last one was also that ultimately God sends us educators, but this is something for after. Shahab's question was pretty much, are they responsible for motivating us to learn? When you were saying like even myself, for example, I was not interested in doing stuff that now I wish I was interested back then to learn. And the question is, are the teachers, for example, responsible for not having motivated us enough to be interested in learning those things? And so it's never black and white, but my first thought is that if we think as well that the first educators or parents have are responsible for their children. And for example, I attended a webinar on parenting, and by someone like working for the ONU or something. Anyway, very cool concept. And he was explaining that there are 4 pillars that like essential for kids. And for example, the thing that's the most powerful force that came, anyways, we were all born out of love, primarily, if we believe this or not, the love of God, because he created us. And it's a force that keeps feeding our development. And then our parents' love. And then as a baby, love is essential for us. And there are 4 pillars for parenting. And the first one, for example, is having a loving eye contact. Second one, a loving touch. And then I won't go into the third and fourth. But he was explaining that eye contact is so important for children that if parents don't give it to them lovingly, the children will misbehave on purpose to hear their parents say, "Look at me," like this. And to create eye contact, they will misbehave on purpose to get your eye contact if you don't give it to them with love. And the same thing with loving touch. If you don't if you don't have a loving touch with your children, they will misbehave on purpose to be touched, even if it's violently. Like if you to be spanked, they would rather. What the guy was saying, lots of studies have shown that kids, or most people in general, they would rather have violent touch than no touch at all, because we need love, we need physical touch, we need eye contact. So if you can't have it in a loving way, you will misbehave on purpose to have it anyways. So in that sense, parents are responsible, to show love so that they don't misbehave. And as a child, you're not maybe like intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically developed well enough to understand that you're misbehaving on purpose to get their attention. So for me, it kind of is the parents' fault in that case. But then I don't have kids yet, so it's a very difficult topic, and yes. Anyway, I will come back to the rest of my notes later. But yeah, sorry. So in the same way, the teachers, because they chose that job, they decided to take that responsibility of educating. So in a way, it is also their responsibility to create an environment that will allow children to want to learn. So when it's educators and the whole system, obviously. And then my last note was to try to balance between science and religion. But I forgot really what I wanted to say about that, so I will come back later. I'm done.
That's so interesting. Where did you hear that from? I missed that bit.
Which one?
Your webinar, about all this stuff you talked about the children wanting love,
yeah,
no matter what.
I attended some webinars, and a man from the ONU. You say
What's
that?
W.
ONU. It's a world organization.
What, WHO?
ONU.
World Health Organization.
No, not
UNESCO.
Maybe no, not UNESCO.
UNICEF, World War II.
No. Anyways, he's a very competent man in the topic, let's say, on parenting. And most of his idea, he was saying, he got from a book. I don't know if it's a French author or not, but it's called Positive Discipline or something like that.
So interesting.
So now the thing is, now there with science, there is more and more experiments on, like, especially neuroscience. They do a lot of investigating on psychological behavior, like that. And so on the eye contact, loving eye contact, for example, he was saying that they did some studies, and if for example you have this huge room with very important things in there, like paintings, like really important paintings, treasures, everything. And then in the middle of that huge room, you put one person, and that person looks at you, lovingly, hopefully. That person becomes the most important thing in that room. Like you could have like the most expensive paintings, the most expensive treasures, but one person, if they look at you, in your brain, that person becomes the most important thing in the room, even if you don't know that person. And I found that very interesting. Like, they make a lot of experiments like that now, so we can know with science certain things like this. And another one was on another webinar on nonviolent communication. For example, maybe I shared that already, but they were trying to teach us how to express our emotions properly. And for example, instead of saying about a person, "Oh, he's really cool," because when we say that, even if it's something positive, it's a judgment, or it's a moral judgment based on ourselves. Same way, if we say he's mean, he's this, he's that, we are just judging. It's a moral judgment. And instead, we should say, we should really try to express our authentic emotion, which could be, with this person, I feel safe, or I feel happy, I feel this. Then it's authentic. Otherwise, it's biased. And anyway, I found that very interesting because it also links with religion. What religion teaches us that we shouldn't judge, and with this aspect of science, we learn how to balance, like how to apply certain religious concepts, which is very interesting.
Tiba and I are aware that when we have the Zoom meeting, it's 8 hours ahead for you guys, so we might have more energy than you at this point because it's only 1:30. So sorry to be the one to do this, but if there's like a time that you guys want to finish, maybe you should say it so then people know how much to contribute and how long we should go for, so it's sufficient as well. So we just kind of get the main points down, and yeah, we just take away the most important things of the topic and then pick one for next week. Is there a time today that you want to suggest?
Maybe
I'm gonna go now because I'm like dying.
Are you feeling okay, sir?
Yeah, I get like really tired at night. Obviously, it's nighttime, but like,
should we aim to start at
like,
7:30 next week?
Yeah.
Keep
What's
my eyes open.
Ari?
Well, I've gotten him down to bed earlier now, so
Wow.
7 I put him to bed, but it takes him like maybe 15, 20 minutes to fall asleep.
So can we aim at 7:30 next week?
That's better.
Yeah, we can try to do that. That's a good idea.
We'll be on time this week. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, don't worry.
It's fine. We won't.
I was about to contribute, Sophie, but if you want to leave, you can. I just wanted to briefly say something. Then I think.
Yeah, Sophie can go, and then you can share. She can watch the recording.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm gonna have to. I just can't like even.
Yeah, you've got to go if you need to.
But it's really nice to see you all, and see you next week. Let me know what the theme is.
Sounds good. Bye. It's good night in Farsi. Anyway.
Well, everyone's so much now. Did that happen to you guys too? It's like full.
Yeah.
All right, so spotlight. You guys ready for my reflection?
Have you been on any calls, Tata? There's like when there's like 30 people.
Yeah, not 30, but we had one with they're very small. You have to like, if you really want to see someone, you have to change the setting and click on their face.
Yeah, exactly. All right, go for it.
So this is not a criticism. This is something I noticed at the beginning when we were talking about the role of educators. We were talking about the things that we wanted that was lacking in the school system, which is normal because we maybe deep down, a lot of us would have liked to have certain subjects that teachers would have taught. And a lot of it is in the system, the school system. So a lot of the time teachers don't have much control over how much they can teach or what, because of the pressure they're under. Now I'm just talking about teachers as in school teachers, and I'm aware that educators is definitely not just school teachers. But the first few years, the children are with the parents, and then once they're at school, the teacher is with the child for a very long period of time. So I was just thinking, what is the role of educators then, in the sense of what they actually should strive towards? So I thought that it's very important they try to create spaces where they can develop opinions and be inspired to live up to their full potential. So maybe for me as a school teacher, I think about me doing that. And even as a mother, I would want to create a space where my children can learn to develop opinions and their thoughts, and how we can do that and then to reach their full potential, whether it's creatively, whether it's mathematically, through science, through arts and crafts, and all the different subjects that you guys were saying maybe is lacking in schools. And even the futuristic idea of what Tay was saying, where school might, finish at a certain time and then others would be open, or like it might be community effort. Maybe in the future that's what will happen, and the role of educators will be every single person, so we all have a part to play. So then I was thinking, if we're all educators, what do we need to do then to help these future leaders, these future doctors and nurses and anything, like these future musicians? Because what we teach them is going to affect what they choose to do in the future, the way we can inspire them. And so I thought the biggest thing is that we're role models. As educators, we're the biggest role model. When I think about when I was young and I think about who I looked up to, definitely my parents, because I was with them a lot of the time, and you see them as someone that's older than you, they're your role model. And then a lot of the time it's either an older sibling, and then it's also your teachers. And the reason why I say teachers is because in the school, why are you laughing?
You're my little geek.
I'm your little geek. So just to finish that, if we're role models, then it's important how we behave. So a lot of the time I have heard when children are like, oh, like I heard, for example, that teacher swear and they tell us not to swear, or like, oh, that teacher says that's important and they're not doing it, or they kind of look up to us and hope that we also behave the way we tell them to behave. So a lot of the times, if we're telling kids to wear hats, I felt so bad when I'd be out in the sun not wearing a hat, because I'm telling them to wear hats and then I wasn't. So my role there as an educator is I'm telling them to do something, but I'm not doing it myself. So it's very important that the way we want these children to maybe fulfill their fullest potential is that we need to actually put into practice what we hope to see in them.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I think that's a good point. Plus, I'd like to say something that obviously, of course, it's not, you didn't say it was a criticism, but I wasn't saying that it should be really changed. There was nothing really, or for me personally, there was nothing really wrong with school because I wanted to learn the things, but obviously there was, well, most kids, mainly in Tormina, they're all rowdy in mathematics, so it was hard to learn, and it does, even though it disrupted the class, it didn't really disrupt me, really. I was mainly just focused on what I do, and if I had to write, if the teachers just wrote on the board and do it in the books, I would do it. But obviously most other students won't do that, and so it's, I guess, but it would be better if they did have those extra things. And also I do agree that, yeah, you should, if you're a teacher, you should be a role model, as you need to, if you're going to say wear a hat and you're not wearing a hat, why should that kid wear a hat? Or he'd be thinking, why should I wear a hat? Mr. Teacher's not wearing a hat. That's it should be fair. And I think also that what in teaching, that, or the roles of the educators, also make the lessons interesting, because I can say that maths class, of course, there was one teacher, and I vividly remember, and his name was Mr. Murchie, and I don't know, but what about it? But his style of teaching was just, very strict, and if you made one word, he would always he would get onto you. So I don't know. I think
me.
It's, huh?
I'm that kind of teacher too.
But and I feel that, I don't know, because technically I know Mr. Murchie. My dad knows him, so I don't know why. I think he picked on me most of the time, so I don't know. But anyway, that's besides.
You're like the most quiet person out there. What maths teacher? Was he maths?
Yeah, he was maths. Yeah. Anyway, he quit for some reason. Anyway, but the thing is that I think most people didn't like that class, and I didn't really like it until, and also even when the new teacher came in, he had no control of the class. Everyone was talking, and of course it didn't affect me, but for others, my friends, they were a bit annoyed, as I wish that guy over there stopped talking. But I think you also have to have and I think why they were rowdy is because they didn't enjoy maths. And obviously when you think of maths just instant, you think, oh, it's boring, it's just numbers, and you write something and that's it. That's all. But you can make maths fun. For example, Eddie Wu, he made maths fun, and all his students, enjoyed his class. So it is possible to make maths fun, and if the educators can put that or implement that into the other subjects, then you will have a class that wants to learn, wants to be there, and you will have you will control the class pretty much, and then you don't even have to And so you don't have to control the class with the use of shouting or quiet down or all these other things. So
sorry to interrupt you. I was just going
That's
to
all
say,
right.
you just reminded me, I wanted to share just a little quote from Benjamin Franklin and its concept of how educators can make a subject more interesting, or even as parents, like they have a big role in keeping the children pretty much on their feet and entertained and enjoying things, and even making food enjoyable. Simple as that. So Benjamin Franklin says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." So that one really stood out, because if you just tell them, it's not a way of teaching them and then getting them involved in what's being taught, then they probably will forget it. So yeah, being an educator, whether you're a parent or an actual teacher, or even I was trying to think of another example, but I couldn't. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to share, that quote.
Actually, I was gonna say that, Mark, all you have to do is like bribe your students that you show them a episode of like Dr. Detective Mark or something, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, okay, we'll do our work," or like engage them. I remember, actually, Jeremy's dad is a semi-retired maths teacher, and he was the head of maths for many years at Austinville Public School up in northern New South Wales, and now he was teaching maths at international school in the Czech Republic and stuff. But remember that maths teacher that lives up the road from us, Mark, and we did the interview with him for the video.
Oh yeah.
He was saying to Mark, because we found him on the street that day that we were doing the Heroes, the Dr. Detective Mark video and stuff. And he said to Mark, like, honestly, if you just play a role and just engage them with this kind of acts and really just be quirky and like, you know, funny and whatever, and just are okay to like act a bit weird and not yourself, you know, just be really funny and stuff, they'll respond to that, you know. So you're right. And the way that we even get our kids sometimes to do what we want them to do is we pretend to be a duck with our hand. "Hello, how are you?" And they do it. And it's like so interesting that, you know, and they engage. They go, "Oh, yes, duck." You know, they talk to the duck. It's my hand. And they look at it like, "Yeah, what do you want me to do?" You know, it's very interesting of how we have to be creative to involve them, like that quote that Tara shared. But honestly, Mark, all you have to do is say, "Guys, we do your work. I'll show you one of my quirky videos of like, I'll be dressed up in a green suit." They'll just be like, "Oh my God, yeah." And make sure you just don't let them see a YouTube channel. Like it has to be like new content so they can't find it. Like stuff like that. The best lecturers and stuff and the best teachers that I ever had were like that. You know, they would just really, they would reward us with different ways. And now with the media and the internet, you could easily reward them with different videos. And
Okay, I didn't want to share this, but Tahir started, so I will share it. I wanted to keep it for another theme, which I was going to suggest after. But it's actually very on that theme as well, so
yeah.
I'm going to,
I was going to say, if it's really good, do you want to wait for another theme?
No, it's okay. It can come up again in the next one. Doesn't matter.
Bring it up again.
While you're thinking about it, Jeremy, I'm going to blow your mind for a second. You poured the milk wrong. If you turn it the other way, the very end of it won't go plop, 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 plop. So you've been pouring that milk bottle wrong the whole way.
It's supposed to be...
What do you mean?
The other end.
So, okay, so this is the way you poured it.
Yeah, that way. Like
yeah,
that.
you pour it that way, and it will never splash.
Try it.
Can you do it now? Can we see you do it?
Well, he's probably got too much milk in there now.
What the hell?
You want to go plonk, 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 plonk.
Is that like what? Is that normal?
Apparently it's supposed to be that way, and we've always done it the wrong way.
Mind blown.
I'm blind.
Go, Thibault.
Okay, so again, it's from the webinar on parenting. Okay, so I found this very interesting. So he said, in most of the meeting where I go with parents and I ask them who love their children, 100% of parents in that context, obviously, will raise their hand. And when he goes and talk with young people and ask them who feels like their parents love them, there is a difference of 30%. Like only 30%, only 70% of kids raise their hands. So there is a difference of 30%. And when he said that, I thought that it's also a concept, spiritual concept. I believe that, for example, God, if we compare God to the sun, his rays shine on all of us, but we won't feel them if we decide to turn from it, so in a way it's the same, it's similar context. But that was my first thought. But then he goes on and explain, because love is not just a feeling, it's much more. It's a force, the greatest and most powerful in the universe. And then, if we extend that concept to everything in the universe, that love is the very powerful force and everything. If, for example, we hold a pen in the air, the pen has potential energy. And once we drop it, that potential energy transforms into kinetic energy. And so basically all type of energy, they need distribution line, let's say. And for example, he gave the example of a dam. You say dam?
Dam with a word.
To create energy. So you could have that, but if you don't have the transmission line, the energy won't get to people's houses and create lights, for example, or electricity. And he was saying the same thing. So even if parents love their children might not feel it because they don't have the right transmission line. So if love is a form of energy and has to be communicated, it has 4 elements of transmission. So the emitter, the parents, the message that you want to convey, the love, the receiver. And the 4th one is the code embedded in the message. And what he told us, I shared all that to come to this part. Children have a code of talking, and their code is behavior. And for adults, their code of communication is words. And that's why we have a different language. And that's why we think we don't know how to raise our kids, is because we don't use the right code of communication. And then what Tahir shared is similar to the other one that I'm going to share now. Don't worry about kids not listening to you. Worry about them watching you. It's something like that. And so that's why basically for me, the role of educators is to...
Did you just share Tahir's quote?
No, it's something similar, but not the same.
I was like, that's real slack.
And it's not the same. In the book Mindful Matrimony,
the one that you have as well,
this quote as well as in the webinar I attended to. So it's what we've been talking about. For me, the best way to educate is by giving the example. That's why the codes for children is behavior. So that's why it also made sense for the rest. You could tell them I love you, but they might not get it. They need it. They need to hear it and see it in your actions. So for example, by you sitting down with them and playing with them for 20 minutes on the ground, that's an action, that's a behavior that shows love to them. And that's why the eye contact as well, you need to act that out and look at them lovingly and give them a hug. That's also an act. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't say it with your words, but it's you should have a balance and show them as well in your behavior.
So what's the topic?
Ivo, no, I want to ask him, when did you do this webinar?
2 days ago, this one.
Okay, so then you watched my video of the whales disappointing Alex telling him to go to bed, and we're thinking, oh my God.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mark.
Interesting thing, I have a video of last night, Alex, like, you know, you guys have seen, everyone's witnessed what he's like when we try and put him to bed at soul time. He keeps coming out. He's become much better, but last night he was doing that again. He kept coming out, and after like the 20th time, I just had enough. I didn't know Jonas was actually filming me. He came out and I called him over, and I was lying on this couch, and I was like looking at him really angry. But guys, the crazy thing was that I ended up going there, and all he wanted to do was hug and kiss me. And I did it. And Jonas was like, oh my God, all he wanted. And I said, yeah, maybe he just wanted one more time to hear that I love him, or that he felt he just needed. He literally grabbed my face and he went, oh, and he like patted me and he kissed me, and I was like, oh my God, the little brat, you know, like. And then Jonas was like, oh my God, you're falling for it. I said, no, because he wants to just be assured one more time. It's true. It's true that they're watching us. It's true that they just want reassurance. That's why it's so important how we treat, like, all of us, as, you know, when you guys come and hang out with the kids, or like even Jeremy is an uncle, it's very important how we are as adults to the next generation. It's so important. Like, yes, parenting, but you can apply those same principles to even just treating other children on the street, giving them the time of day, giving them the time to listen to them, looking at them when they're talking and telling you about what they've been doing, or what, you know, different things. It could be the most random thing. It doesn't matter. Like, just giving them they always remember. There was an interesting thing that they said, that if a child grows up in the roughest environment, but if there's one person in their life that does this, then they actually turn out okay. They could be in an environment of drug addicts, you know, and we're watching Breaking Bad at the moment. It's really intense with the drugs and everything. But if they're in an environment of drug addicts, which is like such a difficult environment for kids, and one person in their community or society or somewhere, it could be a teacher, it could be a neighbor, it could be anyone, just gives them that, what you're describing, just looking at them when they're talking, communicating with them by sitting with them and playing with them, that actually releases something inside them that actually they end up okay. So it's a very interesting thing that power that educators have, like we all have as an educator in our community, to all children. Like, Mona's obsessed with Jeremy. Jeremy, like, why? Because he actually sits and talks to her, and like, you know, when we go down to the level of kids, like the same length or the same level as them, I'm not saying because they're lower, they're physically smaller than us, but that really helps, and that, you know, they always remember that, and that connection is really important. That love that you were describing, it does help them. Like, even, you know, we've all had situations where we've described different people in our lives, different soul times, and how they've inspired us for different various reasons, and it's all because for that same thing, to show love. And I mean, it's late. I wanted to actually explore that concept that you raised about even the prophets, like how they're like a type of educator too, like they are, you know, known as an educator and stuff. It's not necessarily that they're we can talk about that another time, but it's very interesting.
Maybe next topic, let's talk about the prophets.
What is it? Like, we could just go really, because even when you bring up religion, it's a real interesting topic. It's not what we think it is, like this someone telling us what to do, this, like, that. It's maybe supposed to be something empowering.
Prophets, philosophers, and great thinkers.
Because we talked about the role of educators, like, what's their role? What are they? Who are they? Why do people even like them and follow them? And
everyone agree?
Yep.
That'd be cool, actually. prophets, philosophers, and great thinkers. And actually, that's great. Great thinkers is good because that's actually trending at the moment with all the podcasts.
And guys, don't quote me too many times as under great thinkers, okay?
I'll quote you on the prophets. Caddy, did you want to say anything before we close?
I just wanted to share a quote.
Sorry, guys.
It's in red. The reason I asked to do this topic was because this quote really affected me. And I was like, I need to hang this on my wall to remember this because I forget it all the time. Hold on, I'll just get it.
You're like, I've forgotten it now.
I'm getting it up. Just to let you guys know, I was listening. I was just in the background, like cleaning because the baby made so much mess and I don't have time to clean it up.
Oh,
Is baby AKA Jeremy?
Yes. I clean up Jeremy's mess too.
Oh God, while she's at it, she just cleans his mess up too.
I do. I fold his laundry.
That's what Tay says about me.
Does he take less rent from you for that?
Huh?
Does he lower the rent price for that?
Yeah, he babysits for that.
Oh yeah, that honestly, I'd rather fold laundry than look after kids sometimes. Honestly,
Me too. Like
my
I do
gosh.
it as a break.
How bad is that? We've talked about like how important it is.
It makes it when you have two, it makes it so much easier for someone else to come in like fresh. Like I come in after work all fresh and whatnot, sit down, I can give Ari that eye contact.
Yeah, it's true.
I can give him that.
Exactly. No, Shahab as well. Exactly. When you've got someone else there with exactly, that's why you are also an educator in his life. We should all see that we are. Exactly.
Whereas I'm like dead at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, go to sleep, you know?
Exactly.
Such a community. This community needs to be raising the kids together. It's not just a one person's job.
Exactly. It is the tribe. It is like honestly the whole community that raises children.
So the quote I wanted to share is from the Baha'i writings. It doesn't say who. I think it's Abdul Baha, but I'm not quite sure. It says the education and training of children is among the most meritorious acts of humankind. So I was like thinking, like, raising my son day to day, this is one of like the most meritorious acts that I'm doing. And I'm like, wow, how special is that?
Yeah.
And I think it helps me to be a better mother if I remember that when I'm like, like this is this has to be a meritorious act, what I'm doing. Like it puts my like standard of mothering, I think, to a higher level.
And also remembering sometimes we can't see in front of us what we're doing, like just even spending time with our children or other people's children or whatever. It's for the future, like we can't see it. That's why it's so meritorious, because it is so highly regarded, because it is so important, the human beings that we're like putting out to society. So it does, it does have an effect. It's just sometimes we don't see it. And it is meritorious because it's such long lasting, you know, like with even a fruit tree, it's very important to nourish it and make sure the soil is, you know, sometimes we don't see the roots and how much, like this is the role of obviously educators. No one goes and analyzes the roots of the tree. Oh, look how beautiful. No, they see the fruit. They want to see the fruit that it bears. So it's very important that the time and the energy we give daily to these children or to the next generation or even, because
I think it's so meritorious as well because it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard. Like when you think about it, you got to not damage your child, which is like everything you do can pretty much damage your child. You got to think, oh, is that damage? How does that have the potential to screw my kid up? Oops.
He's fine.
See?
You'll be right.
Honestly.
Okay, so we have a topic for next week, everyone.
Prophets, philosophers, and great thinkers. Like just analyzing them, I guess, and talking about them.
And we're starting
Why we need them. Or... Pardon? Yeah, 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great.
All right, everyone. Lovely to see everyone again.
Yep. All
Great
right.
to see everyone. I would suggest a creative expression, but I'm not going to.
You know, I really enjoyed what Mark did. Like, if you, like, I don't want to stop. Like, I actually feel like it's great that you're exploring creative ways. You could even do it on the, not this topic that we did, but the next topic or whatever. It doesn't have to be a formula the way we
do it on the next topic.
Yeah, do it on the next. If you want to, you could share your thoughts on the next topic.
Okay.
With the creative arts or whatever. Oh, don't forget to put the lyrics of the song that you wrote up.
Yeah, sure. I'll put that today. Yeah.
All right, guys. Good night.
Ciao.
See ya, everyone. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Huh. I didn't realize that the role of educators is actually important, as it can change their whole world. Oh, hello. I didn't know you were there. I was just watching the latest new episode of the Soul Time podcast about the role of educators. Did you watch the whole thing too? Wow, that's so good. As perhaps you didn't know that the role of educators is really important for everyone. Or perhaps you already knew. But hey, at least you got our perspectives on what we think about educators. So for next week, our next topic is prophets, philosophers, and great thinkers. That is a very interesting topic. I never really delved into that personally myself. So it'd be interesting what the others think, and you will hear my thoughts next week on the Soul Time podcast. Anyway, if you like this episode, please leave a like. Also, comment down below of what you think the role of educators means to you, as we all want to know your thoughts as well. And also, we are always welcoming new people to Soul Time. So please feel free to come along and meet us all. Also, don't forget to share this video, as maybe some other people might want to hear the role of educators. Anyway, that's all I got. I only got like a 2-minute to 3-minute mark on this speech, so bye. Prophets, philosophers.